How can I say? I will say this much, though. What we did in Afghanistan does not work. It does not work, okay? The project of state building is not something that you can do from afar. It is not something that you can do as a proxy, a collection of soldiers sent there to rebuild democracy in a foreign land. This process just does not function. The essential underlying mechanisms of civil society cannot be put into place by another group of people. It has to be built up by the country itself. If you want a clear and stark distinction between this working and this not working, take a look at what happened to Japan after World War II. NANI? I could spend an hour talking about it, but seriously, I invite you to just look it up. There are critical differences, or Germany, yeah, though that got split, you know. There are critical differences in the ways we handled the project of state building there and here. This was never going to work. I don't know what we could have done better, apart for definitely not invading to begin with. And man, what else do I have to say? Okay, first of all, there are going to be conservatives who are saying that what's happening right now is on Biden. Please be clear. If Trump had done what he promised he would do and pull all the troops out during his term, something which he wanted to do but didn't have the balls to do, by the way, the same thing would have happened, and they would have defended it, and they would have said they don't give a fuck about Afghan people, and who the fuck cares? So please do not. This was an inevitable consequence of a full withdrawal, which conservatives were pledging Trump would do during his term. It just no. And as a follow-up, by the way, there is a possibility that our absence from the region might spark some positive change. It's important to keep in mind that our presence in Afghanistan is one of the radicalizing elements that leads to the Taliban being able to recruit. How do you think the Taliban is able to get so many soldiers on their side? What do you think? Imagine everything you've learned about alt-right recruitment, because that's what the Taliban basically is, just Islamo-fascism. What do you think motivates them to join these wild fucking terrorist groups? Well, in many cases, the constant occupation of the American military is an incredibly effective radicalizing effect on the young people. You saw the video we just looked at. Those guys, the Taliban, did they look old? I think a lot of people, when they think of the Taliban, they think of like 40 or 50-year-old, like, Cold War veteran left. No, they're like kids. I bet most of the people in that video were younger than me. And why? Because they got radicalized by the Afghan equivalent of what happens to alt-righters over here in the States. The difference is, the US is a strong and autonomous nation with no invaders. Afghanistan is a fucked nation that has its occupants still in their capital, and the rest. It's the same thing, yeah, that happens with Hamas, with the Palestinians. You give people an excuse to radicalize, and they will radicalize. So maybe, in the absence of America, there will be less steam behind the Taliban, and there will be internal fracturing within their own circles, and that will lead to more and less radical divisions of the Taliban fighting with one another, or they'll lose public support in the areas where they have some tenuous hold over it, and maybe something good can come out of that. I don't think it will, but maybe something good could come out of that. And even if something good did come out of that, by the way, it would be after years of bloodshed and terror. So again, this isn't really a hopium moment. This is more of a distant, past the horizon potential for hopium guesswork moment. Additionally, we should accept as many Afghan refugees as possible. We should. Yeah, we should. Yeah, we should. Yeah, we should. Yeah. Yep. Yes, sir. Yes, we should. Should probably won't, though. Yeah, we probably won't. but we should. This is our fault. This is literally, directly, empirically, objectively our fault. We absolutely should. If law is an effort to proceduralize morality, which it kind of is, don't rape, don't murder, keep society operating, so on and so on, we should accept refugees. Yeah, we should. And by the way, I want to be clear, that would be a difficult project, in large part because, with all respect, Afghan refugees don't really have that much to offer the United States in terms of immediate economic value. Afghans' literacy rate is not especially high, but we don't do it, and we shouldn't do it, because it benefits us. We should do it because it's the right thing to do. We owe them a hell of a lot more than this, by the way. I just want to preempt that. There are people who are going to say they're not even literate, and it's true, a lot of them aren't. We should bring them over anyway. Besides, our population is flagging, and they'll have kids, and those kids will benefit from the U.S. education system, and they'll be as literate and educated as any other people in this country. So, give them a shot, huh? We do have a severe debt to the people of Afghanistan, you know? We do. Absolutely we do. Make room, buddy. We got a big country. We got a big country and a lot of free space, okay? Most Americans in the comment section aren't literate either. True. Very, very true. Incredibly true. We should. Is possible, though? Oh, it's possible. Yeah, it's 100% possible. More Dem voters, too. I honestly don't know if Afghan refugees would vote Democrat. Like, it's a pretty reactionary country. They're more in line with Republicans in basically every way, you know? Keep in mind, Republicans and Islamo-fascists, and not all Afghan refugees are Islamo-fascists, but the reactionary end of that, basically, I mean, different aesthetics, same underlying beliefs, you know? Maybe we're bringing in future Republican voters. I don't really care. We still owe them. Explain Islamo-fascism, please. It's just fascism, but usually when we talk about fascism, we're generally referring to the types of fascism that manifest in Christian countries, or in countries where Christianity is used as one of the bulwarks of fascist thought. But then it's Islam instead of that, you know? It's basically the same thing. It's just, yeah. Yeah, fascism with Islamic characteristics instead of Christian characteristics, you know? Most of what we term fascism here in the West is kind of Christian fascism in the sense that Christianity is used both aesthetically and substantively as a method of both aesthetizing the fascist movement and also of justifying their actions. And then when Islam does it, it's just the same, but it's with, you know? It's not really fascism, it's actually quite different once you read into what they believe. Yeah, there are, like, principal differences in the stated goals, but it kind of seems like the outcome of Islamo-fascists taking over underdeveloped countries ends up being pretty similar to the outcome of regular fascists taking over underdeveloped countries, which is kind of the same as, like, other... Like, these tendencies seem to arise from... Vaush, do we want to be letting what you describe as fascists into the country? The people we'd be letting into the country would be fleeing the Taliban. Also, wait, there are so many things I have to say to that. First of all, they're fleeing the Taliban. Second of all, even if every single Afghan refugee was a fascist, yes, we owe their country a debt, and the people of their country a debt. Third of all, the average Afghan civilian is not a fascist. Yeah, so. Wait, are there people in chat who disagree with that second point? Like, we fuck over Afghanistan, and we have the chance to accept refugees, and you guys are like, oh, hold on, these brown people are too reactionary for me. No, just let them die to the Taliban. Are you kidding me? This is a joke? There are people in chat who actually believe that. Why'd you say the refugees would be closer to Republicans? You can be closer to Republicans without being an outright fascist. The worst of them are the Taliban. I imagine the average Afghan civilian is more reactionary than the average American. I admit I don't know that. I'm gonna guess that's the case when it comes to issues on like gay and like women stuff. I'm just gonna guess that's the case, and I'm probably right. So in those issues, they would align more with the right. But in spite of their reactionary tendencies, I still think they should be here because we owe them. You know? Yeah. Don't you try and stun lock me. The Taliban would have inevitably taken over anyway. I'm just not sure how it's the fault of the states. We invaded them. We destabilized their government. We literally built the Taliban up. We funded them for a long time. The whole everything. We did everything. We're the chess masters. We did everything to set all this up. Not everything. There are always local factors. But goddamn, that we're responsible for a lot of it. I admit I'm surprised there's any controversy on here. What's your take on the Taliban not being considered fascist? Okay. Hold on. The Taliban. I admit, I haven't actually done this since before I started streaming, but sure. Let's take a look. All right. Let's take